Hi, hello folks. So today we will do question and answers for test lead test manager position for an Oracle Cloud implementation project. So basically that's what I'm preparing for. And these are the questions and the answers. I'll just note it down. I'll just read it for you. So the first one is, how do you create an integrated test strategy for large Oracle Cloud implementation? So we just talk about the strategy point of view, what how you strategize your testing. So to do that for any strategy, so here we will customize the strategy for Oracle modules and Oracle products. But basically, if you are looking for some other company products, you can just tag the name accordingly. Okay, let's start. So first you do the scope, right? You identify the scope, what is in scope. Based on that only your strategy can be made. So scope is very big, scope is medium, scope is small. So here which modules are involved: Oracle HCM, Oracle SCM, Oracle ERP, payroll and finance, right? Or the next one will be which all business processes are involved, right? So what business processes are involved, and the third party integration. So which all third party integrations are involved, very important. And the compliance requirements, so this is mandatory. So this you have to do the compliance requirements testing. So you should know how many are there, and you can cover them as part of your regression. And reporting requirements, how many, so it can be, I mean, what can come under this is basically how the module is designed. So you can have Excel, CSV report, so various types of reports are there, right? And you can select the types of columns you want in the report, like any report, right? So that can be your reporting requirement. So in Oracle, that is a separate section, right? So just with respect to strategy, here we are thinking, so we should know the reporting requirement. You should definitely know what all legacy applications are involved. So here why we are talking about legacy application, the project is about Oracle Cloud implementation. So like every time you have system on premises and you are asked to move it to cloud, so that's why there is the talk of legacy applications here. So how many legacy applications are there, right? And then data migration scope. So what all data are intended to be migrated, getting it? So I remember a project, I'll just give you very quick here. It should not be all this in the video, but this will help you a lot. So it can be, what was the scenario there, that we had a lot of redundant processes in the bank, right? So which the business team was not using. So what we did, it was around, I don't know, less than 1,000, but many. So we just asked the BA to run it over with the business team, and we got to know 50% of them they are not using at all, and they don't see any use of them. Then we got, it took some time, but we got confirmation from very high management there that these are not to be used, and then we got them removed, and then we planned the migration. So this was a smart thing to do. Similarly, there can be redundant thing in your end as well. Okay, that's with respect to strategy, right? And the output of this will be the RTM, requirement traceability matrix applied, right? So now here we are talking about the application. This, so basically in any strategy, I would like to add more to it. Okay, in any strategy you have in scope, you have out of scope, you have the test phases involved, and the exit and the entry criteria, entry and exit criteria of all the test phases. You have the test environment definition, you and the requirement, and the environments. If data needs to be masked there, right? You have data masking, right? And you have resourcing requirement, how many resources are required. Based on how much you know about the project, you will have some tentative idea. And the talents, so 10 resources are required, so 5 are required for ERP, 4 are required for finance, and how many are there. And if resources are there and they are not into that stream, and you have your training requirements, so you will also write that down in your strategy. So you have to train the people, right? Then coming down to RAID items, risk, assumptions, issues and dependencies. You'll note down the RAID items, and as well we will also have the mitigation plans, right? Whatever is possible from our end. Then going to what else? Yeah, business scenarios. So business scenarios can be included as well in your test strategy. I did it once for Lloyds Bank, so it's fine, can be there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Define the test pyramid. So test pyramid, the logic of it is that you don't test everything at the end, right? Testing is no more done at the end, agile process. So even though it is not agile, so per test pyramid, instead of testing everything at end, testing happens in layer, right? As you see, the test phases and the owners have just written around. Unit testing is done by developer, SIT is done by QA, regression is done by QA, performance is done by performance team, security is done by security testing team, operational acceptance testing, that is OAT. OAT is done by infrastructure team, user acceptance testing is done by business user, and payroll reconciliation testing will be done by payroll and finance. Oracle quarterly release testing will be done by OAT and the business users, right? Yeah. So coming to the next question, prioritize business critical processes. So you just focus on the business critical processes with respect to high risk and high impact. What processes are in this category, high risk and high impact processes, right? So basically these are the whatever you see down: hire to retire, procure to pay, right? Order to cash, record to report, payroll processing, financial close, employee life cycle, right? So these are the high impact and high risk modules, right? So basically we will prioritize our business critical processes, and these are the ones which should be there in your prioritization list, right? Now moving on to the next one, integration test strategy. So for Oracle Cloud, integration are often the biggest risk, correct? So when we are talking about Oracle Cloud, integrations is a big risk. It's already existing infrastructure, right? So integrations are big risk. So you should just do some basic validation to mitigate those risks, right? So you will do validation of REST APIs, you will do validation of SOAP services, you will do validation of Oracle Integration Cloud, right? You will do validation of middlewares, you will do validation of banking interfaces, you will do validation for identity management, you will do validation for third party payroll systems, yeah, you will do validation on the tax system, and you would validate Active Directory SSO login as well. Okay, so obviously when you are doing an integration, the login should work. So you have to check SSO login, right? Okay. Moving on to the next one, data migration validation. So integration strategy we saw just now. Now we see the migration strategy. So the testing, data migration, basically you should ensure that your migrated data include the testing, include the verification of data completeness. Data should be complete, data should be accurate, data should be, the reconciliation of data should be ensured. The duplicate detection should be in place, and the transformation where data is migrated, right? So let's say I have done many migration projects. So one was from DSM to IRIS for a bank, right? So the data really gets migrated, right? So you have to really gets transformed, sorry. So after migration, so you have to check the transformation validation, the logic of transformation and the transformation validation. And you have to do a historical data check as well. Okay, so you have to do a historical data check. That's also a good point. So yeah, now we see the environment strategy, right? So define separate environment for, obviously you should request, and as per budget you should definitely have separate environment for SIT, UAT, performance, training and production. In ideal case you should have separate environment for all of these, right? And you should ensure the environment is stable. You are masking important production data if your environment is a replica of production, and you should have a refresh schedule. So when you are creating a project plan, refreshing the data refresh should be in place. So if you go, just adding points everywhere so that it remains in your brain. So when you are planning, right, so whenever there is a new implementation, let's say integration is added, right, you do integration testing, so you do a data refresh that time, right? Similarly, when you have done a lot of testing, then also you do a data refresh. So that is basically flushing, flushes down the unnecessary things, right? Yeah. Automation strategy. So the next is the automation strategy. So what you'll aim? You'll aim to automate the stable regression scenarios, and what you can use Playwright, you can use Oracle test automation tool, you can use API automation, you can use CI/CD pipeline, right? So these are your options. Okay, then moving on to the next one, defect management. So basically defect management here means like what do you do for defect management? You'll have a triage call, right? And in the triage call you will help to set the severity and the priority. You will do a root cause analysis there. Ownership will be decided, right? Who should own the defect, and SLAs for defect resolution should be agreed upon, right? And severity and priority, it should also be decided and agreed from both sides, right? So now coming to the next one, governance and reporting. So governance and reporting, so you track daily metrics, test execution progress, pass fail percentage. So daily metrics, test execution progress, pass and fail percentage, open defects, critical defects aging, requirements coverage, automation coverage, Risk and blockers. So it's a beautiful way of governance and reporting. It covers everything. So you track daily metrics. You say there. So you start a note, right? Bullet. Tell what happened daily. Highlight your highlights. Means which all major blocker defects and how many test cases were blocked. Environment downtime was there. You what do you call, something was to be deployed, it was delayed, and you had to wait for that downtime, everything. So track daily metrics, and you have metrics, word metrics, right? KPIs you have. You can talk about that. This much is the progress in these many KPIs. Down you see pass fail percentage. No, that is also a KPI. So other than that, any other KPIs your organization is tracking, you can put it on daily basis. Test execution progress, definitely have to show with the plan and the actual date, right? Open defects. Now coming to the point where critical defects aging. So aging of defects is very important, and if you keep just the relevant things in your DSR, then it becomes more useful and it becomes more visible and it becomes more noted. Noted is the word, right? Otherwise it goes to 100 people, nobody is going to read it. So you give a defects aging for 200 defects, who will go through it? You give a defects aging for all your critical defects. Then how many requirements are covered? So this happens when you are in a project from day one. You have a very good knowledge on the requirement, and you can track, you are tracking, doing RTM and doing, so you can give this view very easily in that case. And then automation coverage. Automation coverage is, clients are very much interested in knowing, especially for big companies, right? Risk and blockers, yeah. So this item should be updated on a daily basis and from the management side. So this is your tracker. Management tracker also needs to be updated weekly basis, right? Okay. Yeah. So now the next one is quarterly release. So what we should do for Oracle quarterly release? We should maintain business critical regression suite. Yeah, it's going to happen every time. So, and every release you have to review the release note very clearly, right? You have to do an impact analysis. Impact analysis as in these are the defects, these are the fix, these are the regression scope of the defects. So these are the test cases picked. That's your impact analysis. Second one would be the new functionality given. That is a new functionality. That functionality is going to affect my existing HR and payroll module. So that's my impact analysis. And what part of HR and payroll, those test cases, those modules will be picked up, some modules from those two modules. So then it's execute automated regression, of course. So that should be more and more there. So if 100 test cases are there, I think at least 60 should be automated and in your regression suite. So execute automated regression and execute business critical manual tests, very important. So whatever are business critical, those should be given more emphasis, and that happens only through manual testing. So you do execute business critical manual tests. You validate the integration. So whatever integrations was there, every release you need to validate. So you will do a validation of integration, and so you have basically, it will be done via two ways. One is as part of your release, integration tests are there, you run them and you do that. Second, in smoke test also basic validation will be performed, right? And smoke or sanity. And Further in your regression testing, this will be covered. And you have to obtain business sign off before production release. So that's all for the first part of the video. Hope it helps you. Let's catch up again. Yeah.